Some disappearances in Hollywood aren't accidents. They're quiet, strategic, and very, very personal. In this episode of Rainbow Spotlight, we're uncovering 5 openly gay actors who were once rising fast, until the roles stopped coming, the calls went silent, and the industry acted like they never existed. Not for scandal, not for lack of talent, just for being honest. From indie darlings to network favorites, their stories are both infuriating and unforgettable. Where in the world are you watching from? And which one of these stars did you always wonder? Why don't I see them in anything anymore? Warning, star number 3 might just make your blood boil. Let's dive in. Chris Salvatore. Too pretty, too proud, and too quietly erased. Chris Salvatore should have had it all. Tall, handsome, openly gay, and with a voice that could melt the walls of any casting room. He wasn't just another actor in Hollywood. He was a full-package star. When he starred in the Eating Out film series, fans instantly took notice. The LGBTQ+ community embraced him like a long-lost crush, and queer media called him the next gay leading man Hollywood needed. So, what happened? After his breakout in Eating Out, All You Can Eat, and its sequels, Chris had everything you'd expect for a rising star: a growing fan base, undeniable charisma, and crossover appeal. His social media was booming. He released music. He got headlines. And yet, when it came to actual roles, things dried up fast. Why? Because Chris Salvatore committed the ultimate Hollywood sin, being too openly gay, too soon. He didn't play coy. He didn't leave it to interpretation. He said it clearly in interviews. He was proud, visible, and vocal, and for an industry still obsessed with marketability and illusion, that was a threat. Behind the scenes, casting agents were hesitant. He was too gay to play straight roles, too indie to be mainstream, too known in queer spaces to be allowed to reinvent himself for bigger screens. The same visibility that made him a fan favorite made him untouchable to executives afraid of alienating audiences. Worse, he never got the second chance. While some actors are allowed to evolve, Chris was quietly boxed out. No pilot pickups, no streaming breakouts, no romantic comedies rebound, just a fading echo of a career that should have exploded. And yet, he never faded for us. Chris used his platform to advocate for LGBTQ+ issues, to raise money for community causes, and to care for his terminally ill neighbor, Norma Cook, a story that went viral and showed just how deep his compassion ran. While Hollywood moved on, he kept giving back. The industry may have turned its back, but the community never did. In recent years, he's made a return to music, and his social presence remains strong. But it's hard not to wonder, if Chris had stayed closeted, would he have headlined a Netflix rom-com by now? Been cast as the love interest in a CW series? Would he have been allowed to grow? That's the scandal. Not a fall from grace, but a quiet push into the shadows. Drop a 1 if you think Chris deserved way more than what Hollywood gave him, because being authentic shouldn't come with a cost. Tom Pryor, the actor who gave us queer history, then vanished from screens. In 2021, Tom Pryor broke hearts and opened minds. As the co-writer, producer, and star of Firebird, a Cold War gay romance based on a true story, Tom delivered something Hollywood rarely dares to touch. A love story between men that was raw, political, deeply emotional, and unapologetically sensual. The film wasn't just beautifully shot, it was haunting, honest, and it landed like a thunderclap across queer film festivals. But after that, silence. For someone who carried an entire film on his back and put his name on the line to get it made, Tom should have become an industry darling. He gave interviews, walked carpets, was praised for his bravery, and yet no major studio came knocking, no second lead roles, no offers to develop the next Firebird. Why? Because Hollywood wasn't sure what to do with a man who chose to tell a gay love story, not just star in one, but write it, fund it, fight for it. Tom never labeled himself publicly. He let the art speak. But in a system obsessed with packaging and selling identities, ambiguity isn't sexy, it's scary. And when you tell a story that confronts history, homophobia, and power structures head-on, you become a liability, not a lead. Insiders say the film made execs uncomfortable, not because it was explicit, but because it was too real, too intimate, too political, queer pain and joy, not just queer aesthetics. And Tom, he didn't chase Hollywood approval after Firebird. He stayed focused on projects that mattered to him, quietly working in theater, developing scripts, showing up in activist spaces. That integrity came with a cost. He wasn't cast in the big period dramas or prestige TV. He didn't get rewritten into an HBO limited series. He was politely applauded, and then excluded from the machine he proved he could handle. Even Firebird, a film about silence and survival, was buried by major media, barely promoted on mainstream platforms, left out of Oscar conversations despite its stunning cinematography and performance. It was too niche, they said. But fans didn't forget. For many in the queer community, Firebird was life-changing. It showed a love that didn't flinch. And Tom Pryor? He became a symbol, not of tragedy, but of creative defiance. It's not every day an actor dares to tell a story we weren't supposed to remember. And Hollywood's reaction? It said everything. Drop a 2 if Firebird meant something to you, or if you think Tom Pryor should be a household name by now. Because erasing queer history doesn't just happen in textbooks. Sometimes it happens in casting rooms. Peter Porte, too handsome, too gay, and somehow too invisible. Peter Porte had everything Hollywood loves: chiseled jawline, Ivy League charm, the kind of smile that could sell cologne or front a CW drama. From his breakout on The Young and the Restless to a string of Hallmark films, Peter looked like the next Ryan Reynolds in training. He played romantic leads, brooding sons, and dreamy doctors, and audiences responded. But then, in 2018, Peter did something radical. He got married to a man. No dramatic People magazine cover, no press tour, just love, quietly celebrated. But in an industry still uncomfortable with openly gay leading men, the silence that followed was deafening. Suddenly, the roles slowed down. Romantic lead? Off the table. Hallmark hunk? Quietly phased out. His face still popped up in guest spots and streaming projects, but the trajectory shifted. He wasn't ascending. He was stalling. Because Peter Porte was no longer just the handsome guy. He was the gay handsome guy. And Hollywood, for all its rainbow logos in June, still struggles to imagine a gay man as the fantasy for straight women, or the everyman hero for mainstream audiences. What makes Peter's case especially frustrating is that he played the game perfectly. He didn't make a scene. He didn't come out swinging with a memoir or a viral TED Talk. He just existed, elegantly, authentically, and it cost him. Insiders say execs didn't know how to position him anymore. One casting director reportedly said, "He reads too perfect to be niche and too gay to be universal." Let that sink in. Too gay to be universal. This wasn't about talent. Peter can act. And it wasn't about range. He's done comedy, drama, stage, even political satire. But the moment he stopped pretending to be available to women, Studios stopped pretending he could lead a fantasy. He was gently edged out, not canceled, not ridiculed, just invisible. Even his own fan base seemed unsure how to respond. Comments shifted. Engagement dropped. Not because he changed, but because the illusion changed. And for too many fans, especially female ones, illusion still matters more than identity. Peter didn't lash out. He kept working, quietly. But he also became more active behind the scenes, supporting LGBTQ+ causes, mentoring queer performers, and speaking honestly about the strange limbo of being out and still not welcome. He represents a subtle kind of Hollywood punishment. Not scandal, not rejection, just redirection. A man who fit the mold perfectly until the mold realized it couldn't control him. Today, he still stuns, still acts, still shows up with grace and presence, but the spotlight that should have followed him after Hallmark, it dimmed the second he said, "I do." Drop a 3 if you've ever watched a Peter Porte movie and wondered why he didn't become a star. Because sometimes being quietly proud is enough to quietly end your ascent. Jordan Gavaris, too sharp, too smart, and too open for Hollywood. When Jordan Gavaris broke out as the unforgettable Felix on Orphan Black, fans didn't just love him, they trusted him. Witty, flamboyant, fiercely loyal, Felix was the rare kind of queer character who wasn't tragic, stereotypical, or tokenized. He was real, alive. The show didn't survive without him. And honestly, neither did many of us. Jordan gave that role everything: heart, humor, edge. It earned him awards, fan devotion, and a place in LGBTQ+ TV history. So why did Hollywood kind of forget him? After Orphan Black ended, all signs pointed to stardom. A breakout gay actor with charisma, range, and experience. Slam dunk. But the phone didn't ring. Or at least, not with the kinds of roles you'd expect for someone with his talent. What happened? Some say it was timing. Some say it was typecasting. But insiders suggest a quieter, more sinister truth. Jordan wasn't just playing queer. He was queer, and he wasn't shy about it. In interviews, he spoke candidly about internalized homophobia in the industry. He criticized how Hollywood often treats gay actors as disposable unless they fit a certain mold. Straight passing, silent, or smiling politely. He didn't do the game. He didn't pretend to be closeted to keep casting directors comfortable. He didn't sanitize his truth for broader appeal. And that made him risky. Not because he caused drama, but because he told the truth without asking permission. And when you're a gay actor, especially one not marketed as conventionally heartthrob material, that honesty can make you invisible faster than any scandal. One striking detail? Jordan didn't come out publicly until 2017, even though he was out in his personal life for years. Why? Because no one ever asked. And the one time he did tell the press, he had to clarify that being gay was not his defining trait, even though the headlines made it seem that way. Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with that nuance. So, like many gay men who don't fit a box, Jordan found himself in a strange purgatory, celebrated in fan circles, whispered about in casting meetings, and largely left out of the roles he clearly earned. Still, he's not bitter. He's spoken about using this time to write, produce, and lift other queer stories. He's shown up on smaller projects with depth and care. He's building something quietly sustainable. Because if Hollywood won't give him the spotlight, he'll light his own damn stage, and fans haven't forgotten, if anything, Jordan Gavaris is the perfect example of what happens when you're too real for an industry built on illusion. Drop a 4 if Felix made you laugh, cry, or feel seen in a way no other character could. Because Jordan didn't fall off, he was pushed off. Gently, politely, and completely on brand for a system still afraid of unapologetic truth. Randy Harrison, too gay, too early, and too brave to pretend. When Queer as Folk premiered in the early 2000s, it wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural earthquake. And at the center of that storm was Randy Harrison, playing Justin Taylor, a teen artist who falls in love with an older man and refuses to apologize for it. He was bold, he was vulnerable, he was real. And for many LGBTQ+ viewers, he was the first time queerness looked beautiful, messy, and human on screen. But while Queer as Folk became iconic, it also marked Randy. He was just 22 when the show launched, and suddenly he wasn't just an actor. He was the young gay face of a movement that the industry wasn't ready to embrace. There were no cool queer roles in mainstream media back then. There were sidekicks, punchlines, or tragedy porn, and Randy, he wasn't any of those. He was complex, sexual, loud, and, crucially, he was openly gay from the start. That honesty came with a cost. After Queer as Folk ended in 2005, casting directors couldn't see past Justin Taylor. Randy was offered roles that felt like stereotypes or gay wallpaper. Leading man parts, romantic comedies, blockbusters, radio silence. Why? Because Randy didn't hide. He didn't play the game. And in an era where many closeted stars were rewarded with bigger roles, Randy's authenticity was treated like a liability. He wasn't considered marketable by 2000s Hollywood standards, which really meant he's too gay and people know it. He's spoken about this openly, about going to auditions and seeing the discomfort when producers realized who he was, about being told he was too recognizable as Justin, code for, "We don't want the baggage of your truth." But Randy didn't stop. He went back to the theater where talent and courage mattered more than image. He toured with classics like Cabaret and Wicked, built a respected stage career, and kept telling queer stories on his terms. He also returned for Queer as Folk reunions and never once tried to distance himself from the role that made him famous. Unlike others who tried to straighten out their image post-breakout, Randy embraced it all. And that's the scandal. There shouldn't be one. Randy Harrison didn't commit any sin. He didn't implode. He didn't even get caught in a tabloid storm. His only crime was being honest before it was safe to be. He paid the price with opportunity but kept his integrity intact. And that, honestly, is iconic. Drop a 5 if Justin Taylor was your first gay TV crush, or if you just think Randy deserved way more. Because some actors fall out of the spotlight, and some are quietly pushed out for telling the truth too soon. Some stars fade, others are dimmed, deliberately. In this episode, we've looked at 5 men whose honesty, timing, or mere existence as openly gay artists cost them more than we'll ever know. They weren't messy, they weren't scandalous, they were simply out in a system built to reward the closet. Hollywood doesn't always blacklist with headlines. Sometimes it's just silence, no callbacks, no second chances, no recognition for what they gave to queer visibility when it mattered most. But here's the truth, you can't erase people who made you feel seen. So tell us, which story hit the hardest? Where are you watching from? And if you believe being openly gay shouldn't be a career risk, make sure to subscribe, because we'll keep telling the stories they tried to bury. This is Rainbow Spotlight, and we don't forget,